Welcome to Cheap Talk, the podcast that dives deep into life's little dramas. Today, we're dissecting those make or break moments in relationships, those tiny stressors that can either bring you closer or, well.
Exactly. Like forgetting your ID at the train station, right? Total nightmare fuel for some couples, but others, they just roll with it.
That's what's fascinating. This article we came across highlights how these seemingly minor incidents, a broken dish, wrong movie tickets, getting lost on a road trip, they reveal a lot about a couple's dynamic. It's all about how we react under pressure.
Oh, totally. It's like that saying, want to test your compatibility? Take a trip together? Travel is a pressure cooker, right? Delayed flights, lost luggage, pure chaos.
Yeah. And in those moments, some people just lose it, blaming each other, spiraling into negativity. Others stay calm, focused on solutions.
So, what separates those couples? Is it just like natural chill?
Well, the article points to a few key factors. One is emotional stability. Can you stay grounded when things go sideways?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Right, not suppressing emotions, but managing them maturely.
Exactly. A partner with high emotional stability offers understanding, not blame. Like, oh no, you broke a glass, are you okay? Instead of,
Seriously, can't you do anything right? Yeah, ouch.
right? Then there's attribution style, how we explain what happened. Do we blame our partner, internal attribution, or look at external factors like maybe the traffic was terrible or something unexpected came up?
Makes sense. Blaming your partner for everything is a recipe for disaster.
Totally. And the third factor, psychological resilience, bouncing back from setbacks. Can you shift gears, find a plan B when things fall apart, or do you just shut down?
I've definitely seen both sides of that. Some people can turn a missed reservation into an adventure, while others just wallow.
So true. The article calls this partner responsiveness, how we react to our partner's emotions during stressful events.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, really seeing your partner, validating their feelings, offering support, even if you can't fix the problem?
Yeah, it's about creating that sense of we're in this together, offering practical help, or just a comforting hug.
But what about the flip side? Negative responses?
Well, that can look like criticism, blaming, dismissing their feelings, or just avoiding the issue altogether.
All the classic relationship no-nos.
Yeah. And those negative responses can escalate conflict, erode trust, and, well, the rest. It creates a vicious cycle of blame.
So what's the antidote? How do we handle these pressure cooker moments?
The article offers a few tips. First, focus on the problem, not on blaming each other. Ask, okay, how do we fix this? Not whose fault is this?
Right, stay solution-oriented.
Then, practice active listening, really hearing each other out, validating feelings, and use we language, emphasizing that you're a team facing this challenge together.
Love that. We can conquer anything, right? Even a missed flight. It's all about remembering you're on the same side.
So we were talking about how couples react in those high-pressure moments, and it turns out emotional stability is a huge factor.
Yeah, like not freaking out when things go wrong, right? That makes total sense. But where does that stability come from?
Well, it's interesting. Some researchers, like McCullough, connected back to motivation, our deep-seated desires and how we pursue them. A secure attachment style can definitely play a role there.
Oh, that makes sense. If you're secure in the relationship, you're less likely to interpret a minor setback as a relationship crisis.
Exactly. A spilled coffee isn't the end of the world. And then there's this fascinating research from Yuan, Fan, and Lang.
Yeah.
They found that emotional reactivity, how intensely you react to emotions, has a big impact on marital quality, especially for Chinese couples. And a key factor there is perceived partner responsiveness.
So, how your partner reacts to your emotions actually affects your own emotional reactivity.
Precisely. It's a loop. If your partner dismisses your feelings, you might become more reactive, more likely to overreact in future stressful situations. But if they offer support and validation,
It creates a buffer, right? You feel understood so you can stay calmer.
exactly. It's like having a built-in emotional shock absorber. And that ties into resilience too, bouncing back from tough times.
Like Banana's work on resilience after trauma? That's powerful stuff.
Totally. It's not about avoiding negative emotions, but navigating them effectively. And McNulty and his colleagues also found that
Wait, McNulty? As in the guy from The Wire?
no, different McNulty. This McNulty studies relationships. Anyway, his research showed, where was I? Oh, right. It emphasized how important it is to repair after conflicts, like making amends, rebuilding connection after a disagreement.
So, not just getting over the fight, but actively working to restore the relationship?
Exactly. That's a key part of resilience and maintaining a healthy relationship. It's about acknowledging the hurt, taking responsibility, and moving forward together. And that creates a stronger foundation for the next inevitable stressor, right?
Absolutely. Because let's face it, life is full of little bumps in the road. It's how you navigate them together that matters.
So, we were talking about navigating those bumpy patches in relationships and how resilience plays a crucial role. But what about individual differences? Like, how do both partners' personalities and behaviors factor in?
Yeah, it can't just be about one person being the resilient one, right? It's a two-way street.
Totally. I was reading this fascinating study. It's from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, pretty heavy stuff, and it talks about extending the vulnerability stress adaptation model, or VSA model, to relationships.
VSA, so like how vulnerability to stress affects how we adapt in a relationship context.
Exactly. It looks at how both partners' individual differences, things like personality, attachment style, even genetics, interact with stress to predict changes in relationship satisfaction.
Okay, so like if both partners are generally anxious, a stressful event might hit them harder than a couple where one partner is super chill.
Yeah. And it's not just about how you react to stress, but also how your partner reacts to your reaction. Remember that partner responsiveness we talked about?
Oh, right. Like Reese's work on responsiveness, how important it is to feel seen and understood by your partner, especially during tough times. And that study by Dooley and others looking at how perceived partner responsiveness during stressful times, like waiting for important news, affects the relationship. It's a huge deal.
Huge. This VSA model takes it a step further, saying that responsiveness isn't just a reaction, but it's also influenced by those underlying vulnerabilities.
So, someone with low self esteem might be less responsive, even if they want to be supportive, because they're struggling with their own insecurities.
Precisely. Or they might be more sensitive to perceived slights, interpreting a neutral comment as criticism. It gets complicated.
For sure. So, how do you measure all this stuff? Vulnerability, stress, adaptation? It seems pretty complex.
Well, they use things like questionnaires, physiological measures, even observing couples interacting during stressful tasks, like Gottman's work, where they
Analyze couples' communication patterns? Yeah, I've heard about that. Fascinating stuff.
totally. And the findings suggest that these individual differences do matter. Like, if both partners have high neuroticism, a tendency towards anxiety and negative emotions, they're more likely to experience declines in relationship satisfaction over time, especially when faced with external stressors.
Makes sense. It's like adding fuel to the fire. But what if only one partner is high in neuroticism?
Good question. That's where things get really interesting. It seems like the less neurotic partner can actually act as a buffer, helping the more neurotic partner cope more effectively. But
But there's a catch?
yeah, that buffering effect only works if the less neurotic partner is also high in responsiveness. If they're not responsive, it can actually make things worse.
Wow. So it's not just about who you are, but how you interact with your partner's vulnerabilities.
So it's not just about who you are, but how you interact with your partner's vulnerabilities. Like, if one partner is super chill and the other, not so much.
Right. That dynamic can really impact how they handle stress together. It's not just individual resilience, but the interplay between their personalities.
Exactly. It's like, imagine a seesaw. If both sides are equally weighted, it's stable. But if one side is way heavier, it throws the whole thing off balance. And relationships can be kind of like that, right?
Totally. And then there's the added weight of external stressors like job loss, family issues, pandemics, the usual fun stuff.
Huh. Yeah. Those external pressures can really amplify those underlying vulnerabilities. It's like adding extra weight to the already unbalanced seesaw. And that's where things can get wobbly. Hmm.
So, how do you strengthen the seesaw, build a more stable foundation?
Well, that's where things like communication, empathy, and responsiveness come in. Those are the support beams, right? They help distribute the weight, keep things balanced. Like, if your partner's freaking out about something, you don't add to the freak out. You offer support, validation, a comforting, metaphorical hug.
Right? It's about creating that sense of we're in this together, sharing the load, being each other's emotional counterweight. It's about being that support beam, even if, the seesaw is tilted.
Exactly. And that takes us back to resilience. It's not about avoiding the wobbles, but navigating them together. Because let's face it, life is a seesaw. There will be ups and downs. It's about learning how to ride them out as a team.
And sometimes you need a spotter, right? Someone to help you steady yourself, keep you from falling off completely. That's where therapy can be incredibly helpful, providing tools and strategies to navigate those inevitable wobbles.
So, we've been talking about resilience in relationships and how couples handle stress together. But this article, it takes a really interesting look at coping with cancer, not just as an individual battle, but as a we disease impacting the whole relationship.
A me disease? That's a powerful way to put it. It really highlights how cancer affects not just the patient, but their partner, family, everyone around them. It's a shared experience.
Exactly. And this article from Families, Systems, and Health dives into how couples cope with cancer from a relational perspective. It's not just about the medical treatments, but the emotional and social impact on the relationship.
Yeah, it makes sense. Cancer can put enormous stress on a relationship. Everything changes, right? Routines, roles, intimacy.
Totally. And the article talks about how partners often experience similar levels of distress, facing challenges like fear, uncertainty, financial strain, changes in intimacy. The list goes on.
So, how do couples navigate all that? What helps them cope?
Well, the article emphasizes the importance of shared coping, facing the challenges together as a team. It's about open communication, supporting each other emotionally, and this is key, making joint decisions.
Right, because it's a shared reality. Both partners need to feel involved in the process, even if one is the patient and the other is the caregiver.
Exactly. And that ties into what we were talking about earlier about partner responsiveness, being there for each other, validating each other's feelings, offering practical support. It all makes a huge difference.
So it's about acknowledging the emotional impact on both partners, not just focusing on the physical aspects of the disease. It's about being a true partner, a support system through thick and thin.
Absolutely. And the article also talks about the importance of maintaining a sense of normalcy, of coupleness amidst all the chaos. It's about finding ways to connect, to enjoy each other's company, even when things are tough, like date nights, shared hobbies, just being together. Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cancer can take over everything, so it's important to carve out time for the relationship itself to nurture that connection.
Totally. It's about remembering that you're not just patient and caregiver, you're also partners, lovers, friends. And that connection can be a powerful source of strength and resilience.
Absolutely. It's about facing the we disease as a we together. And that, I think, is a beautiful and incredibly powerful message.